Breaking the gray.
Sarah Turner, the Rebel Scientist, it is so great to see your beautiful face. You're wearing red today, brightening up everyone's life as usual with your red light. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thanks, Russ. And you look great. You look fit as a butcher's pup.
That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. I feel today is the beginning of a new day. So we're coming to you live for a couple of reasons. One is we're tailing off the end of what has been an amazing season 2, getting ready, and Sarah and I have been hunkering down and prepping for season 3 for everyone to bring you even more amazing Rebel friends. But today, as we kind of wind down season 2, we wanted to do a couple of season-ending quick hacks. And so, Sarah, who is our Rebel friend today?
So we have Nathalie Niddam, who is a biohacker extraordinaire, and she has a wealth of information on all of this. And I think she's a good person to come in with quick hacks because she can summarize a lot of the stuff that we've spoken about on season 2. So thank you, Nathalie, for joining us. And I know your expert subject is longevity. So that would be very cool if you can give us some of your tips on that. And I know that you're also working with some of the most cutting edge formulations that people might not have heard of. And certainly I hadn't before we met at the event in Miami recently. I hadn't heard of some of the things. So.
Oh, nice.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. It's nice to be here. And it was nice to finally meet you in Miami after hearing about you all those years.
Yeah, they're great. It's great to finally get to meet up at last, isn't it? Real people. Yeah, that's fabulous. It seems like we're getting back to a bit of normality. So that's wonderful.
Slowly.
So when we talk about longevity, Nathalie, what does that mean for everyone? And we've talked a little bit about it, but what does it really mean when you say longevity?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that longevity has taken on, it's taken on a bit of a new meaning over the last few years. I think in the past, when you said longevity, it was just living a long time. And I think that our generation and the upcoming generations have a much more specific term they want longevity under their own terms. And that means that they want not just lifespan, but they're looking for health span. So we want to live longer, but we also want to do so in a way that's going to allow us to continue to enjoy our time here. And so really, we've kind of upped the ante on longevity where we're saying, well, it's not enough just to say I'm going to live to 100 or 110 or 120. I want to be able to, I want to be able to do stuff. I want to be independent. I want to have my head together. I want to be able to go traveling and hiking and walking and doing things. And, depending on who you talk to and how bullish they are about this whole longevity thing, they may even take it a few steps further. So bottom line, I think that over the last number of years, there have been a lot of really exciting developments in the longevity space by really great researchers and doctors. And those of us in this space, the communication space and the space where we're disseminating information to people, are so fortunate to be able to share this with people, because I think it's like every time you turn around, there's a new study, a new compound, a new practice that's coming out.
I wonder too, like when it comes to this, and I'm hitting a milestone birthday this year, and what if you're starting at 40 or 50? Have you missed the boat and said, well, I'm not starting until 40, so I can't live to 120, so it's going to be 110. I mean, is that how it goes, or can you hack the system to get caught up on those years you really screwed up and drank and smoked and didn't work out and ate McDonald's all day long?
Well, I think it depends on degrees. If you've been living a really debaucherous life, then maybe not so much. But I would actually say that no, anybody can start almost at any time. How much runway you're going to have left is going to depend on a lot of different factors. Part of it is commitment. Are you willing to stop the drinking, the smoking, the partying, the whole 9 yards? Are you willing to, right? Are you willing to make the investment in yourself? And some of it will be in time and energy. Some of it will be in money. And just how committed are you to this whole process? Because I think that with commitment, we can all improve our longevity. To what degree we can improve it is going to depend on a variety of factors, both how much damage we've maybe done. But what we know about the human body is that it has this incredible capacity to heal and regenerate itself. And that's, I think, a lot of the technologies that researchers and scientists are starting to tap into. That's so exciting. But even without that, I think that our bodies have the ability to heal and to respond to better treatment, if you will. So I think the answer is, it doesn't matter when you start, you're going to have something to gain. How much? It might also depend a little bit on your genetics, a tiny bit, but it's never too late is the bottom line.
I'm like the present, I think, is the message, Russ.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So let's go through these things. I'm super excited to hear them.
Yeah, let's get the tip.
Oh, the tip?
Yeah, let's go. Well, what's your recipe, really? What's your recipe for longevity? Because if people are just tuning in for this just to get like something they can implement,
right.
What would be something that people can do like straight away from today that's going to have some kind of impact?
Okay. So, one of them is going to be a little bit, people are going to think is super boring. And the other one, there's a couple, right?
Okay.
And the other two might be things that people haven't necessarily heard about. So the first thing, and I think one of the most important things we need to do to ensure longevity is to make sure that we're getting enough good quality sleep. And no, don't yawn, don't roll your eyes at me, people. I'm serious, because it's when you're sleeping that your body is doing that work to repair from the damage of the day, to regenerate, to even in the brain, like to clear toxins from the day. There's the whole lymphatic system that was discovered, not that long ago, like what was it, maybe 10 years ago or something, that they discovered this whole lymphatic system in the brain that's not going to kick in and be able to do what it needs to do unless you're sleeping and unless you're getting good quality sleep. So to me, the number one hack is sleep. Coming in a close second, and again, people might roll their eyes at me a little bit, you got to get a handle on your stress, right? Because one thing we know is that stress can override almost anything else that you're doing and put you in a situation where you're going to be more susceptible to getting sick. Being chronically stressed can literally turn off your immune system, which is kind of the gateway to the next level. So those are the two kind of lifestyle, and obviously moving, exercise, all of those things are also super important. But those two things I think are at the top of the heap. And then there's certain compounds that we now have access to that maybe we didn't have access to before. And I don't know if you want me to just jump into those, Sarah, but just jump into those, or yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I think that's cool. Maybe at the end you can summarize and tell people exactly how much sleep and what's your top rest, how do you actually reduce stress? What would be something that people can do? Because I know from myself, I have people that I speak to and people want something very specific that they can do. But I am interested to learn about the compounds, because I know there's a special one that you're going to speak about that I had never heard of before. Like I say, I've been kind of doing this biohacking thing. So go ahead. Let's hear about the new compounds.
So there's three compounds I'll talk about. The first one is called Spermidine. And it's got the most unfortunate name of all the compounds we could talk about, really. But it's a really interesting molecule that is naturally occurring in nature. First of all, we make it in our own bodies. It's available through food. But what's amazing about Spermidine is that when we take it therapeutically, so as a supplement, it has the ability to impact 6 of the 9 hallmarks of aging. So one of the effects of Spermidine is that it almost mimics caloric restriction in the human body and can upregulate autophagy. So there was a paper that just came out just the other day that I was reading about that talked about how just 14% reduction in daily intake of calories in humans in a clinical study showed that these people had better outcomes than the people who ate regular or more food than they needed. So if we have now a compound that can mimic this caloric restriction, doesn't mean you get to run around and be a glutton all the time and just pop your spermidine on the side. But spermidine can help to mimic that. It also upregulates a process in the body called autophagy. And autophagy is the way that your body kind of clears out damaged cells and protein. So it kind of helps it to do all this kind of housekeeping that needs to be done to keep us vibrant. It also helps with protecting DNA. So your genetic material, we know that as DNA replicates as it needs to do as we live longer, we need to make sure that there's not as many mistakes in the copying of DNA, because that's how we get into trouble. We end up with cells that don't work properly, or you could end up with things like cancer, whatever the case may be. So protecting DNA, the misfolding of proteins, so I'm going to, I don't want to get too technical, but bottom line, under the hood, spermidine is doing a ton of work that helps your body to keep itself young and regenerating. In addition, on the outside, what people see when they take spermidine is that their hair gets better. They get better hair growth. It grows faster and longer. Their nails get stronger. They have better skin. And the cherry on top, they sleep better. So it improves sleep. It seems to act on the clock gene, which is one of our genes that regulates our circadian rhythm. So it basically hits all the marks. So it's probably one of the most incredible compounds that's out there that's actually readily available. And it seems that when we take it as a supplement, even though it's comparatively low dose compared to what you might be able to get from, say, aged cheese or shiitake mushrooms or fermented soy. So all of these foods have spermidine in them. There seems to be something about taking it as a supplement that you can actually measure in your sleep stat. So I will use a BioStrap to measure my sleep and quantify my sleep at night. And I can tell you that whenever I take spermidine before bed, which is when I take it almost always now, I will see that my deep sleep number increases. And I've had the pleasure of talking to a lot of people in my Facebook community who've done the same and who've noticed the same thing. So N of 1, we know, is a very important metric in this whole biohacking space, but then we need to be able to see that this can apply to people outside that N of 1.
Yeah. So we have to measure it. But I mean, where has it come from, Nathalie, that it's sort of come out of the blue, that it's, like I say, it's a supplement that probably not many people have heard of?
Yeah, so it's been around for the longest time. Leslie Kenny, who's the CEO of Oxford Health Span, which is actually, they're in the UK. She's, and they make Primidine, which is the spermidine supplement that I use. They have found evidence of not so much spermidine, but evidence of the knowledge and the understanding of, and spermidine is found in sperm, right? Because what does it do in ejaculate, right? In male ejaculate, it's there to protect the DNA of the sperm as it's embarking on its journey, as it were, right? And so she will talk about how it's been around. If you start digging in, it's been known that this compound in sperm is considered life-giving, and they have found evidence in this in Taoist scrolls. So this is going back thousands of years, right? But if we're going to go say, how long has it been studied or around? I've never heard of it before. There's a ton of published research that's been around for at least a decade. And this compound's been identified. If you go looking in PubMed, you're going to find a lot of people mentioning spermidine over the last number of years. And somehow over the last, let's say, 3 or so, maybe it's because you've got a couple of companies that finally got their head around it. It's very hard to extract from wheat germ, which is what most of the natural supplements are derived from. So it's a very expensive, costly process. And so maybe it's just taken that long for people to figure out how to get it out of there and concentrate it as well.
Right, that's interesting. I didn't know the stuff about the Taoists, because the Taoists do all kinds of meditations and things to conserve sperm, and that they do a whole practice in that. So I didn't get that connection. So that's very interesting. And of course, you have that application. Okay, so that's cool. So that's something. And we'll set up a link. Maybe we can tell people where they can get that from.
Sure. No, I'm happy to. So I'll just send you the link, and
that's perfect. So
yeah,
so that's part of our stack. And so you said, was there another supplement that you have as part of your stack?
There is, and it's comparatively very simple. It's a single amino acid. It's called glycine. And the cool thing about glycine is that it's super sweet. So it's a little bit like sugar. Yeah. And glycine, it's not, the mechanism of action is not fully understood, but it seems to act on the SCN, the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain, and somehow helps us to get better, deeper sleep. And in the mouse studies, the animal studies that they've done, they will often talk about that effect, and as well how it helps them to lower their body temperature at night. And we know that lowering our body temperature naturally needs to lower at night for us to get quality sleep. And so there may be that synergistic effect. And also, I did a course recently with a guy by the name of Joel Green, who's brilliant in so many ways. He wrote the book, The Immunity Code. And he talks about using glycine at night, not just for sleep, but also because it seems to help to reduce belly fat when you take it at night, maybe because of this thermogenic effect. So not to get too deep into the weeds here, because I know it's supposed to be a quick hack. What I will do is I will take maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons of yogurt, like plain yogurt, and I will open up my 3 capsules of Spermidine and dump them in there. The cool thing about Spermidine is it tastes really good. Actually, it has a pleasant taste. And then I'll add my teaspoon of glycine, which is 5 grams, and I'll stir it up. And then it's just this tiny little hit of the glycine with the Spermidine. There's no capsules to dissolve or anything. And you get the added benefit, if you tolerate dairy, that you're getting tryptophan in that yogurt, which also adds to the sleep effect you're going to get. For people who are really big into intermittent fasting and they don't want any calories before bed, instead, they can maybe mix it into a little bit of cold water. Because again, it's not going to taste bad. One thing I'll say is you do never want to heat Spermidine because that will destroy it.
Right. Okay. So it's like an enzyme, I assume. It's like a protein. Yeah. Okay. So that's our stack. So that's the formula, which is cool. And then how much sleep?
How much sleep? So I think the interesting thing about sleep is it depends a bit on your genetics. Some people do seem to be able to do better with a little less. But I would say somewhere between 6.5 to 8 hours at the most of sleep. It turns out there's a point of diminishing returns with sleep. But the most important thing about sleep is to get good quality sleep. So you could be lying in bed with your eyes closed for 10 hours and never really get into that deep or REM sleep. You're just not going to get the benefits. If you can clock 6.5, 7.5 hours of sleep and get like a good 20 to 25% of that as your deep and then your REM sleep, you're going to get a lot more benefit even from less sleep. So you want to be efficient and you want to get that good quality sleep. And that has to do, of course, with your sleep environment. So the dark room, the cool room, the quiet, mouth taping's really good, but that would be a whole other hack on another day.
Well, like I say, it's nice to have you as a summary because we have Molly McLaughlin speaking on sleep, and we have
amazing
Christian warrior woman who we can link back to, who did actually speak about mouth taping in quite some depth.
I failed at the mouth taping. I need to go back to it. I have to try it again. I definitely have to try it again.
It's an intention.
Yeah, it is. And it's such a habit to just, and I'm a snorer, and I'm very nasally, as you can tell from my voice, but it's a habit to mouth breathe at night. And my wife is just like, please tape your mouth. It would be amazing. Even during the day, she said, tape your mouth.
We need to get something not so aggressive, because remember, you and Paul, you ripped off half your beard last time because those tapes that I got from China were too aggressive. But yes, maybe masking tape.
Well, yeah, not the electrical tape. That seemed to be a little too much. Yeah.
No, the electrical tape's good for like the little lights in the room you want to block.
Yes. So this is amazing. So let's recap. So we're sleeping, we're reducing stress, and there are lots of things we've talked about to reduce the stress piece of your life. And I imagine sleeping and stressing, which I've been doing a little bit of lately, I'm processing a lot as I'm sleeping, but let's just sleep and reduce the stress. Let's meditate a little. Then we're going to take the Permidine or the Spermidine. So we got to find the right one. So we'll send a link to that. And then the glycine. Now, is glycine different than the glycinate? Just because I am a novice in all this.
Yeah. So magnesium glycinate is magnesium that's chelated with glycine, right? Like it's it's attached to glycine. And I think that's part of the reason why they do that, because it helps to get that magnesium across the blood-brain barrier. So it can be helpful. So you can definitely use magnesium glycinate. The only thing is it's going to be hard to get that 5 grams of glycine. So I will sometimes use a magnesium glycinate supplement in addition to my glycine and my Primidine sleep stack.
Wonderful.
And on the stress management front, we didn't have time to get into it. I mean, there's so many different things. I know we wanted to keep this short, right? So, I mean, meditation for sure. But I think also getting outside into nature and moving are also very effective. Connection to community is critical to managing stress.
Yeah, it's so easy. It seems easy to say, just go outside for an hour a day. But sometimes people are busy and they're stuck at their day. Is something that's so easy. It's cheap. It's free. All you have to do is just kind of get up and make that time. And I think, as a stress reduction technique.
And Sarah's given me some really simple things too. I mean, I am Sarah's lab rat, and you can see, look at this. I'm after 2 years. But it's I will go outside with my shoes off, and I'll stand in the soil, and I live up in the hills in the Bay Area, and it's great. I mean, it really reconnects you back, to reality a little bit too. Meditation is great, and as well. So we definitely want to have you back. We want to do a full episode with you, talk about all the other great things, but this is incredibly helpful. And we'll add all of the links up there so everyone knows what to buy and the right brands to buy and everything else too.
Yeah, that's super cool. And before you go, Nathalie, I just wanted to ask you about an event that I know you're doing with one of our other guests we've had, Dasha, because sometimes, people need a bit of a hand holding with some of this. And I know that you and Dasha are doing an event, so maybe you can just give a little plug for that, and we can put it on the blog just so that people know, that these things are out there should they choose to take it to the next level.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we're really excited about this actually. And to your point, sometimes I think what happens with people is they need to be removed from their environment and immersed into a new environment where they get to put all of their focus and attention on themselves. And at the same time, connect with people that are in that same headspace. So what Dasha and I did is we created a women's longevity and resilience retreat that we're hosting in the Dominican Republic at the end of March. And we've got just a couple of spots left. And we would love to invite any of your listeners who are interested in learning more about it to hop on a free call with us. And maybe we can add that link into the show notes. But basically it's 5 days of both learning, personalizing your information, because we're having people run their genetics, their biological age test before they even come down. Everybody gets a biostrap. So they learn about how to conduct their own N-of-1 biohacking experiments. We're going to get them outside into nature, watch the sunrise on the beach every morning, riding horses through the jungle, and trying out different supplements and biohacking gear, all different kinds of stuff. So I want to respect your time, so I could go on for a really long time here. But definitely the women who've already joined us have talked about how they're so excited to both have access to us, learn about all this stuff, and meet other people who don't think that they're just nuts for being into all these health practices that we're into. So
fabulous. Yeah, it's all about environment, and that includes the people.
Exactly.
People. Okay, well, that's brilliant. Thank you, Nathalie.
And where is it? It's in the Dominican, correct?
So it's in the Dominican Republic, but it's in a part of the Dominican that most people aren't familiar with. It's Cabarete, which is a little town on the north shore of the Dominican Republic. So it's far, far away from the all-inclusive zone that's down in the south. It's up and it's really well known for kite surfing and surfing. I don't think we'll particularly be doing that during the retreat, although if somebody shows up and they're a surfer or kite surfer, tack on an extra couple of days and get that hit into your system if that's what you're into.
Brilliant. Totally cool. Yeah, I wish I was coming, and I might still come yet, but
that would be amazing.
But yes, thank you very much for your time today. That was really cool. It was a bit of a condensed episode, but I think we've got some great tips there for everyone. So thank you, Nathalie.
Well, and thank you so much to you both for having me. It was really nice to chat with you today.
Brilliant. Take care.
The Rebel Scientist Podcast is a Breaking the Gray production. Created by Russ Eisenman and Paul Wood. Hosted by Sarah Turner. Music and sound editing by Logan Shea. For more information and other fantastic podcasts, visit breakingthegray.com. That's gray with an E. breakingthegray.com.
Breaking the gray.